What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the universe. Welcome to the My Hero Academia Season 5 Review Squad. Welcome to the review of My Hero Academia Episode 100, guys.
Yay!
100 episodes of My Hero Academia, a milestone that many animes do not pass. So I'm very happy that My Hero has been able to do so. In my opinion, it's still just as good as it was when it started. So, we're just going to gush about this episode and how awesome My Hero Academia has been these past 100 episodes in this sort of special episode here. I'm John Kearns, joined today by the whole squad. We got Bethany and Michaela Nash. And we've got Brianna and Tim Farley. Is this the first time all five of us have been on one?
No.
This is the second time.
Second time?
Yeah.
Cool.
Second time.
First time Beth was on the show was the first time all five of us were brought together digitally.
The whole squad.
Yep. We've all been thriving.
Alright, so, episode 100, guys, was very, very good. Do we agree on that?
Yeah. I like this episode.
There was a lot going on, a lot of different scenes, different things happening.
Yeah, for sure.
And not a lot of fighting, but like more character stuff.
Yeah. And like starting off, there wasn't like a new opening scene, which I know some people were like really concerned about, like confused about, because they thought like the classes or like the fights were like the end of the arc. But yeah, I never thought that it was the end of the arc. I always feel like the end of the arc is when we find out what class Shinso's going to be in, because like, the whole reason why they were having the training either way, but like one of the main purposes of it was to figure out which class he was going to be in.
I mean, he has to be in Class A, but
there's no option about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he has to be with Aizawa. He trained him.
Yeah, I fully admit, I very much expected a new OP on this episode.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're talking about Shinso and Aizawa, the point where President Mike says a name.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
That's in my notes.
It's in my notes too.
It's in my notes.
Tim.
Think that's the name of Shinso's mother.
Probably. I mean, that's what
maybe.
They were reminiscing. It was about the past.
And Aizawa was like, I don't have time for this. Like, can we move on?
Like, cut it. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to talk about it.
No, whatever was said was not shown to us. Because he said, if you're going to say something, keep it brief. No. Obviously, he was going to say something and then it moved.
He was going to... No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because President Mike goes, oh, nothing, just reminiscing.
Well, yeah, he said, oh, nothing, just reminiscing.
Yeah, so he
might not have said anything.
I know on it. But that lets you know that it was something in their shared past. So they go to school together.
Maybe. Who knows?
Well, they absolutely did. They went to UA together.
Yeah. Well, like, Aizawa has, like, some sort of past with Miss Joke, though, too. So it's like...
Told you, Aizawa's the type of dude that does one-night stands all the time. He's a rolling stone. He's a loner. He gets what he wants, and then he moves.
Characterizing it a little off color. I don't know. I like Aizawa.
Everything has to be highbrow. Anyway,
Tim
what else happened in this
me.
show?
Don't bring it into
we got to see Eri.
Tim is in top form today.
All around. We didn't even get to the beginning.
I know.
Start us off. We skipped the beginning.
We skipped the beginning.
Aizawa.
Tim said, somebody said Aizawa, I got shit to say.
Something really important happens before
it's too highbrow.
President Mike and Shinso, or President Mike and Aizawa. at the beginning of the episode, we get like the recap of the fights and everything like that, and then almost immediately after it, it goes into training that Deku and Bakugo are doing with All Might about his new power. And I thought this was really interesting because we also see a little scene where it's like All Might and Deku in the teacher's lounge having a discussion, but Bakugo is there, and they're trying to figure out like what kickstarted the quirk and everything like that. I made it a point to like write down that he didn't tell Bakugo what triggered the quirk when he asked about it. Like he Bakugo said, well, like what was going on, and he just said like Monoma said something, but he never really said specifically what it was.
Right.
He doesn't want Kachan thinking that he has a crush on him.
No, Tim, it was because Monoma was talking shit on Kachan, and he knows he's insecure about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He didn't want Bakugo to know that he was affected by people saying something negative about him, because Deku knows what kind of character he is, not just from UA but all around, just growing up together. Like they're friends.
Yeah.
Like it or not, they are friends.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but Bakugo would have been like, I don't need your damn sympathy, nerd.
Exactly.
Well, don't look down on me. You know, that's all he is.
Exactly.
I mean, I kind of feel like it also it kind of hides something, because Monoma knew about Bakugo getting captured by the League of Villains.
Yeah.
And, like, I kind of feel like that's going to play something later on, because that wouldn't have been mentioned and not talked about if it's not going to be used later on.
Yeah.
Like, I just have a sinking feeling about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then after they're in the teacher's lounge, it shows a scene of, like, them fighting again. And, it's, like, Deku, like, muttering to himself. And he essentially says, I told myself during the match that it's quirk that I'm not going to use for a while. So he, then realizes that, like, he's going to have to convince himself that it is something that he can use so he can learn how to use it.
Yeah, and he talked about visualizing the quirk being locked in a box and unlocking the box. And at this point, Bakugo is like, I'm not here for this. If we're fighting, I'm leaving.
Yeah, he said, your muttering gives me the creeps, basically.
Yeah.
And then leaves.
This is boring. We aren't going to fight, I'm going.
Yeah.
And then I believe the next scene we see is Monoma going... It's Eri and Miro, isn't it? Mirio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the next scene. I think.
And Eri is learning how to write, and she's writing thank you letters to
Aizawa wanted Monoma to go see Eri.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brianna was like, I wonder why. And I said, probably to copy her quirk and do research.
Mm-hmm.
But then he did say something interesting about the quirks and how her quirk was a blank. And Deku asked what that meant. And it meant like a stockpile quirk, a quirk where you accumulate something and change it into energy. And he cannot copy what needs to be accumulated. Like, he used fat gum as an example, so fat gum stores all the fat, and so the bullet will bounce off of him. But if Monoma tried to copy it, it wouldn't work.
Right.
Yeah, because he can copy the ability, but not the fatness. Basically.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which actually gave us some insight, which means that means Deku has more powers to come. It was like a foreshadow almost, that saying that, hey, I can't take forward.
When we watched it, we went on a bit of a tangent about trying to think of what quirks he'd be able to copy and what he wouldn't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we figured, like, he probably wouldn't be able to copy Kaminari, because doesn't Kaminari store static electricity?
I think so.
Isn't that what he does? And like Bakugo stores his sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to think of who in Class A he'd be able to copy. He'd probably be able to copy
Bakugo, though. In the fight, the cavalry battle.
Yeah.
He did do his move, and
Oh, did he use
did he do Kaminari?
explosions?
He did an explosion.
Oh.
Yeah, because he went up against them and stole their points, and then they were like realized that his must have been copied because they took Bakugo's and Kirishima's. I don't know if he took another one or not, but he definitely took their 2
Okay.
quirks. So like maybe he couldn't store the sweat.
And then we thought like, well, yeah.
Mhm.
And then we thought like if he tried to copy Froppy, he probably could, but he probably wouldn't get all of the abilities. He could probably jump high, but he might not be able to use his tongue like she does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no
And
tongue.
the other one we were talking about was Todoroki's, because essentially it's the same quirk,
Mm-hmm.
but like 2 halves of the same quirk. So like if he touched the fire side, would he get fire? And if he touched the ice side, would he get ice?
Or would he just get
Or
both?
would
Yeah.
yeah. Or would that be like a stockpile one that's just a blank for him?
Right. Like it's very interesting to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see. And then Eri goes on to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like, who knows what's gonna happen
Oh my
with this?"
God.
And then
Yeah.
Deku basically tells her, "It's like we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna work. We're gonna grow. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure out how to help you in every way. Like, don't forget, like you saved me. You're the reason I'm alive today because you saved me. So that has to count for something." And I
Right.
thought that was amazing because just all around, like Deku is basically a dad. Like him and Vermilion are Aries dads. Like you can't convince me otherwise.
I don't know. Everyone says Aizawa is, so I don't know what that.
No.
Aizawa's like the cool grandpa, because let's be honest here, as soon as they moved into that dorm building, Aizawa became the dad. He just adopted all
Oh,
of them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he live in there too?
What's that?
No,
Does Aizawa live in that building too?
no.
No,
I
they have like a separate faculty dorms.
Mm. Is Eri living there
Yeah.
in Class A's?
No, Aries living in the faculty building.
In the back
Yeah.
one? Okay, I was confused about the logistics of
Yeah.
like where is everybody at right now?
Right.
Okay,
And then also in this episode, you see a season change.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
It
gets,
actually starts. It goes from fall to winter, and I thought it was cute how Froppy Hasu is sitting on
Yeah.
the couch and they're like, "Close the window." And
She
she
can't
said,
move
"She can't move.
anymore."
She's cold." I thought that was so cute.
that was
Mhm.
good.
I want to see Todoroki out there building snowmen.
Yeah.
Speaking of Todoroki, we forgot to mention there's a scene earlier on in the episode when it's like after they come back in from the training with All Might, and Deku sees Todoroki, and Todoroki said, "Oh, I've been waiting for you."
Right.
And they have a discussion because Todoroki was under the impression that Deku had 2 quirks, and he was
Yeah.
hiding one of them. And he essentially said, "Well, why would you tell me that I can use both of mine when you were hiding one of yours?" And Deku just went on to explain, it's essentially the same quirk, it was just an evolution of the quirk that I was not anticipating.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And at this point, I laughed hysterically because Bakugo said to himself, "You're sharp and dim at the same time, you half and half bastard." And I was,
Yeah, I laughed out loud. That was
the
good.
Japanese people know what that means. Like,
He said that before, though. I like when you told me that was what I was going to laugh at, and I said, "Well, no, he said that before," and you were like, "Oh my god, what? Oh my god!"
I giggled at that, but that is not the scene that I lost my lung to.
and then the
Oh,
also
I laughed
we
a couple times.
we kind of overshot a little
Yeah.
when Deku and Kachan and All Might were talking. Bakugo said what All Might didn't want to say, and he said this came from all for one, and you could give and take and manipulate all of the quirks, and all that like made All Might very scared, and it upset Deku too, But then when Deku was talking to Eri, he was kind of talking to himself as well. Saying it's about the nature of how you use your quirk and, stuff like that.
Whenever that happened, when Eri was getting rolled down on herself, I was like, Deku better say something to her because that's some bullshit. She's going to tell herself her quirk is shit. And so then he did. He stepped right in. He said exactly what I wanted him to say and more.
Exactly.
And it had him realizing, like, he needs to master his quirk just like she needs to master hers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter if it started from something bad. He can turn it into something good by how he uses it.
Yes.
And Ari's little outfit was the cutest thing ever. Her little leg warmers. She was so cute.
She is so
cute. Can we talk about, speaking of bad, can we talk about how Mirio taught Eri that Monoma was the bad part of UA?
Bad part of UA.
I love that part.
Yeah, and then I their personalities are too different. Monoma was like, "What do you think of me?"
Okay, so they had to have like Deku and Mirio there for support, basically. He was like, "No, I'm not gonna hang out with this guy. I won't let him touch me."
Who fucking would?
Yeah,
that was entirely funny. Although still not the scene that made me lose my lung. The scene that made me lose my lung is
So we also find out in this episode that Bakugo and Shoto are going to get their provincial license.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's so awesome.
We don't know the word. And they pass, which amazing. Love that for them. Now all of 1A can now go
a really cool scene.
and actually fight, basically. Mm-hmm. But on their way home, they run into some villains.
Yeah.
And just those two interacting with each other is by far one of the best because Bakugo has that cocky, I'm going to beat them attitude, but Todoroki has that, okay, let's talk this out real quick because we know we're going to win, but let's just entertain this for a moment. Like, aspect to it. And when All Might almost gets hit and Bakugo says, if you're going to commit suicide, can you do it somewhere else, like not here?
Yeah.
Like,
well, okay, was he talking to All Might or was he talking to the girl?
He was talking to All Might.
The girl.
I thought he was talking to I think he said All Might if you're gonna get yourself kid. Committed suicide.
Well, see, they only had their license for 30 minutes, and Bakugo's like, "We're taking care of this.
Let's go, baby. Let's go."
I didn't have it written down because Alma's just like, "You just got them. You've only had them for 30 minutes."
And he's like, "Yeah,
and
okay."
They've already resolved a scenario. Sorry.
Yeah, I liked when the whale guy was called them all plankton.
Yeah, plankton. That was funny. He said like, "Today's the last day I have to see your lame faces." That's great. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a jerk!"
I know the scene that made Bethany choke. She was
yes, it was early on in the episode.
It was with Endeavor when Endeavor was just fucking killing that guy. While complaining about his son not texting him.
I went back and rewatched it. So it takes place when Todoroki's talking to Deku, and it's after like the whole mishap with Deku having like 2 quirks. And Deku talks about how much Todoroki has been able to like use his flame and how that side of him has evolved and grown and everything like that. Right. And Todoroki says, I know I've improved, but I'm not where I want to be. And when it goes to that scene with Endeavor, it's actually because Shoto texted him to ask him to help him with a move called Flash Fire Heat Wave.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm correct, is what he uses at the end of the episode to stop the villain. And I think that's really cool that it shows that like he texted his dad to learn. He texted his dad about it, and then at the end of the episode, you see him use it. Because even after he uses it, because that's like the final move in the match.
Yeah.
Bakugo comes over and says, "Yeah, was that?" And then he goes, "Yeah, it was, but I had more control this time." And we see a clip of him using it before and like completely shattering. What was it, like 10 walls?
Yeah.
Like into dust. That's called growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think actually, so he asked his dad Endeavor to teach him Flash Fire, or teach him more about Flash Fire. And what they actually, in the quotes, what they called the move that he does at the end, they called it flash freeze heat wave. So I don't know if it was like a mixture of the two that only Shoto
It's
can
like
do.
his own version, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he got hot, and then he did ice too, like right after that. So it is like essentially his spin on what Endeavor's teaching
He's
him.
so
I think.
cool. He's just so fucking cool. He really is.
And then as we go towards the end of the episode,
I also liked the little party that Class A and Class B were both having.
Oh
Like-
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Like
They're just hanging
before the other party that we're gonna
Ah, wait. Are we going to
We're
ignore?
Minetta. Tim,
with
we're Minetta.
with
With
Minetta.
Minetta, what was happening with
What was
Minetta?
happening with Minetta?
Yeah, like making him watch something. That was so
Well, she was upset that he touched her boobs,
I know. I just wonder what was on that
and
screen.
he was
I
like,
want to know what was on the
He
screen.
was
Yeah.
being punished. He was being
Yeah.
My favorite thing is Tetsu and Kaminari fighting because they both saw their flaws, and they're both fighting each other because they're just like,
Dude,
no,
they're
you're
such
so
bros.
good.
They're such
They are
bros.
well, I think it was more like Kirishima thought that he was less than Tetsu now, and Tetsu was trying to tell him,
They're
no,
different.
we're just different, and
Yeah,
we both have flaws, and you just need to get up.
Also,
Yeah.
they were the two, like, at the very beginning, how this episode, like, really, like, the first thing that happens is, like, Deku is praising Shinso about how well he was doing and how he makes him want to do better, and he was acting like he was in the hero course, like, he was doing things like people in the hero course would.
Yeah.
And Vlad's like, well, it's highly likely he's going to be in the hero course next year. And then after that, like, the first two people are Kirishima and Tetsu. They're like, which class?
Yeah.
Over him already. They're like, we want him. They're like both such bros, and I love Kirishima. So like Tetsu is just like him.
hmm
And like what we were saying, when we get towards the end of the episode, we see Bakugo and Todoroki go into the dorm room, and it's completely dark. and
it was
they're
like
just on
a post-credit scene before the preview.
Yeah,
It was cool.
it was a cute
Okay.
little party for them for getting their license, and they're all excited. And I thought it was funny how Sugar Rush came with a cake, and Bakugo's
It's too
like,
big.
it's too big. And then the next scene, they pan to Bakugo, and he's eating a piece of cake.
Yeah.
It's
It's
too big, and then he has cake all over his face, and Deku's
Yes,
probably
and
mad.
he's yelling at Deku for being Deku.
Yeah.
He's like, we're heroes together, and he's like, shut up.
He's like, stop it! Like, I don't care. Like,
Don't talk
less
about
of this,
the-
more of this.
and they're congratulating him, and he's just like, don't think less of me. Because,
What?
and that's so funny because early on in the, like, not early on, but like before that scene, when it shows to them in the dorm room and when they're coming up with the idea to throw a party and everything like that, Kaminari was boasting because he's just like, yeah, I'm just surprised, like, I got it before. Wait, was that Kaminari?
Yeah.
I think-
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, it might have been Kaminari. But
Of
he was
course
like,
it was
boasting,
Kaminari.
saying like, oh, I have my license before
Kaminari.
them. And they're just like, don't be petty. So I think like that was kind of funny that when he came in and they were talking and they were congratulating him, he's just like, don't think less of me. It's not worth
But
it.
that's how you know Bakugo loves them, because even when like his
Yeah.
mom is the same exact way, like that's how you know he is their friends.
hmm
Yeah.
But the next episode 101, we're actually getting Christmas in June.
We're getting a Christmas special. A
Dude.
Christmas special in the middle of fucking June. Like,
Like Todoroki and a Santa hat.
Oh.
I was so
Hold up.
I was shocked. I was so like, what is this? Why is this happening now? Why?
They honestly could have held off this episode for July, because then like Christmas in
Because it's
July.
But like,
No, but I
it's a
think
Christmas special.
why. I think this upcoming episode is going to be the end of the arc because one of the last things that is said in the preview before it says like plus ultra go beyond
Ooh.
or go beyond plus ultra, it says there is a great disaster lurking behind the festive party,
Yeah.
and when that's said, you see all of the teachers.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there's going to be something that happens,
You are.
and
Obviously.
hopefully before that happens, we find out which class Shinso's going to be in.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna have
Like,
something to do
yeah.
with
But
it's gonna have
Like a
something to
village.
do with my little buddy here.
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movement. of All for One.
Say that again, Tim?
Or another movement of All for One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or who knows? Maybe Shigaraki kills All for One.
I'm
I don't
waiting
think
for
that's
that,
gonna
man.
happen.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
No, I honestly do think that that's going to happen.
That's the only way that he can collect all the power,
I
and
think
then
that's
he
gonna
can
happen.
actually.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think the only way that would happen is if All for One wants it to happen. Like,
Which I don't.
we're gonna
I
take
don't know, man. We've seen how.
Shigaraki seems like he's the only person that he would look up to.
I don't know, but we've also seen how cold-blooded Shigaraki can be.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but like All for One might be the exception to that.
You would think.
But if All for One tells him to
think.
kill me, then
Maybe.
We'll do it.
This is going to play in because I know that Heroes Rising takes place somewhere further along than where we are.
It has to be right after this season.
That's
Has
what
to
I'm
be.
thinking because everything is lining up.
Yeah,
I've been keeping
everything's
mental
lining up.
notes. Everything is lining up. But I think if it were to happen, it's going to happen later on once they perfect All for One passing on his power, which I think is what they were
Because,
trying to do with number 9. Was number 9?
9,
Yeah.
That's in Heroes Rising.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because he had it, but the one quirk he took, he needed the counteractive one to help it grow.
And
Yeah.
something that I didn't even think about until yesterday was in Heroes Rising. It so clearly takes place after this season because Bakugo and Todoroki are there, so obviously they have their licenses in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Not only that,
And
Tokoyami is
uses
flying
Dark
with
Fallen Angel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
don't understand how none of us put that
Because
together.
we saw it, it was a movie, and we just took it in, you know, and there was no explanation. So
But now,
you do explanation, and then you're like, oh, this is going to make me think of
yeah.
But then, you look at it and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that makes sense. How did I see that?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like when you watch something over again and you miss something the first time, and you're like, oh, wait, oh, okay.
Right.
Because they make it a point to
that's
show
I've said that before about how, whenever I rewatch Steven Universe, how obvious it is in season 1 who Rose Schwartz is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's the little things that make it all like the giant puzzle. We're slowly getting the bigger picture. We're
so
so close to finishing the outline. We're almost there.
So that pretty much wraps up episode 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned it before, I wanted to talk a little bit about, what are some favorite parts from the rest of the series? Because this is episode 100, so I kind of want to make it a little bit special. So from the whole series, what are, give me, everybody, give me, 2, major favorite moments or favorite fights or something like that.
I have one.
Bree, go first.
I was just re-watching it, and I thought of a moment that I really liked is when Ida fights Stain,
Yeah.
and Deku comes in to save him, and then Shoto comes in to save him, and how great that whole thing is. And then they are at the hospital, and the dog sheriff, whatever, shows up.
The good boy!
The good
Oh my
boy.
god, that's funny. And he's yelling at them because they weren't supposed to fight, and Shoto's all pissed off. And I'm like, oh my god, Shoto. So funny. And he says, but at the end, he's like, well,
He's the goodest boy.
yeah, at the end, he says, the dog says, he praises them at the very end.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you could have started with that.
Yeah.
You know,
I love the dog chief of police because he's the goodest boy. He's such a good boy that made him chief of police.
Yeah, and he barks.
My thing is, does he get along with the cat detective?
I don't know.
I'll go next.
He's got a big bowl of kibbles and bits for lunch.
I have 3 from last season.
That's fine.
I really dug the whole Kirishima arc.
Oh yeah.
mini arc, but his fight in the Yakuza area with that
Him and
MMA
Fat Gum against those two other guys.
that was so awesome. And the MMA guy says, "Bring that boy," and then he goes, "Man," into the other room, like while they get their stuff together. Like that was fucking awesome. Shigaraki's whole plan and how he did it with Overhaul, and how his power was fucking awesome.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Really
That
gotta hand
motherfucker's
it to him.
cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the first time you really think, wow, Shigaraki's not just some idiot following the footsteps of someone. He actually is cunning and smart.
He's not just some young punk
Right.
that they tricked into being in charge. Yeah.
Not a super long. And then number 3 is obviously when Eri was on the back of Deku.
Oh, hell yeah.
All that. Because, like, that was tears, man. That was
Yeah.
It was good.
Kayla, you
go? Yeah, you go. I really like how after Bakugo is captured by the League of Villains, right, when like All Might's retiring and everything like that. That fight scene between Deku and Bakugo.
Yeah.
After that, like that.
Where Bakugo had that breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
That just shifted the entire perspective of Deku and Bakugo. Like, that changed their entire relationship. Because at that moment, that's where Bakugo realized that Deku had All Might's power. That All Might was no more. And that everything that Bakugo was fighting for is now in Deku. So, basically, he's fighting for Deku. And I think that was just, like, one of the most amazing parts in there.
Yeah, and then All Might said on TV, he said, "Now it's up to you." And Bakugo starts thinking, he's not talking to everybody. He's talking specifically.
Straight
that was going to be one of mine. I was going to say one of my favorite moments is just four simple words. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
That was one of the most cry-fest moments in this show to me, by far. And it actually, the entire All for One versus All Might fight was just just tears the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the most hype moments, one of the times that I've been the most hype watching the show is when All Might says, that's because I didn't put my back into it that time. And then did the United States of Smash. That was like all of his powers as one. That was just like, holy shit. And it leveled that whole like fucking city block.
And I think my second one would be, honestly, when Deku first finds Eri.
Yeah.
Because, like, he knows something is wrong. And he won't give it up. He knows in his heart that something is wrong. The way, like, she's clinging to him, and he wants to do everything in his power to help, and he can't. And then it just shows how much everybody gives up to save this little girl.
And piggybacking onto that, the Mirio versus Overhaul fight.
Yes, like,
that was crazy.
That whole moment. Even after he lost his powers. He did. He just kept
he lost his power and was still throwing hands.
Yes, exactly.
Mario, love him. One of my favorites.
Mario is a hero by definition.
Yeah, I was crying. I was like full on like baby bawling. Like, what is happening?
Brianna, you only gave one and then I cut you off.
That's okay. I didn't really have one like lined up. I have a couple of things, but Bethany, do you have anything yet?
Oh, I'm thinking.
They're all going to be about Tony.
Everyone's picking
so there were two things. One's kind of, it's not like a big moment or anything, but kind of like around the same time as the All for One All Might match.
Yeah.
That whole thing, and it has more to do with like character development rather than like fights, was how the class kind of got divided because Deku was like in the hospital totally like fucked up, and Kirishima was like, we gotta go save Bakugo. I don't
Yeah.
care. And he
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
guys make the same mistake that I made. And Shoto wanted to do it too. And he's like, why does it have to be you guys? Why does it have to be the two who told me how stupid I was being?
When
And now you
When
And
Ida punched Deku in the face, I
Oh.
cried. I was
Loved it.
crying.
I
when
so
Ida punched
great.
Deku.
But then the best part to me was the carryover at the end with Froppy.
Yes, I was just about to say
Oh
that.
my god, yeah.
They move into the
my
world
heart.
where everyone wants to, see everybody's room and it's fun, but she's like hiding and it's like, why is she sick? And Ochaka says, wait, I have something really important for you guys. Like, come outside and talk with me. And Froppy's out there and she just like bears her soul to them and she's like, I don't know how to feel because you guys didn't listen to me and so are you guys villains? But then I
And
made
the first one who walked up to her was Kaminari.
Yes.
It was
Oh, was
so
that?
badass.
Kirishima
What-
goes,
Was it Kirishima?
sorry, Sue.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
he-
It
There's so
was
many scenes.
Kirishima.
I'm like, I don't want to make you cry. And I'm like, I love you, Kirishima. And she's like, it made me so sad to be without you guys. And I'm like, this class is so fucking full of heart. I love them all. Well, most of them. But especially great, I don't know. I think more and more there's no one that I really dislike because even Bakugo now, after rewatching
I love Mineta, okay? Leave Mineta
Leave
alone.
Mineta alone. Leave grape juice alone.
I love Mineta.
Every
Fuck that
show
little creep.
is a pervert.
Every show needs a pervert, I guess.
Every anime show.
That's true.
If you
That's
look at
fair.
Mineta, he
That's fair.
has come very far from the beginning of the series.
Yes.
Okay, even
Has
when he
he?
bumped into Ashido, he's like, that was an accident. I didn't mean to do that.
There's a
But
thing.
hey, it happened.
The moment whenever he wins the match.
Oh, no.
It's
No.
thing is his back.
I'm thinking about it.
No, he won. Whenever they fought the
When
teachers.
Mineta was doing his thing,
Because they were saying he needs to have a reason
yeah.
besides wanting pretty girls to like you.
Yeah,
But that is his reason.
He said, and what he said was,
midnight.
Yeah, he won.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what he said was, and I love this. I loved it. It actually made me tear up a little bit the first time I ever watched this. When he says, people don't become heroes to be cool. People become heroes because they're cool. And he says, right, Midoriya?
Yeah,
Right before he does that thing. And that was so awesome.
that was cool. Yeah, I do.
When
I remember.
you're already seeing the effect that Midoriya has on all the other
On
students.
everybody.
Yeah,
We can't talk about great moments and not talk about Uraka's growth throughout the entire series. Watching her in the fight was just so amazing from where she was when she was fighting when they went to go get Eri.
Yeah.
Not even
And Night
that.
died.
At the very beginning of the series, she couldn't use her power without throwing up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Your
It
power
was cute because it was
really
rainbow.
hurts
It was
sick.
rainbow puke. It was adorable.
It was absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
Kind of gross because I'm not for vomit, but and
One
now
of,
she's
one of my favorite
so much
things.
of it.
I mean,
who's for vomit?
who's for vomit?
One of my favorite running jokes throughout the series is villainous Ida.
Yes.
Whenever
Yeah.
Ida has to be a villain,
Mhm.
and he just gets fully into character.
Okay,
Yeah,
Another one of my favorite moments was when their first day of school and he met Deku meets Uraka because he's following and she stops him
Yeah.
from following. And then he's like,
I
"What's
talked to
going
the
on?"
girl.
Talking. You girls just talked to me.
Oh my god! How about whenever he calls him because he sent everyone that text of his location, and Shoto's the only one who understood what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
She calls him later and he tells her about what was going on, and he's like, hangs up the phone. He's like, I just talked to you on the phone. He says, it's like she was whispering in my ear.
No,
I'm like,
here's
oh,
another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. I hung up on All Might.
I think I finally narrowed down my two favorite, and then I have an
Or
honorable
when
mention.
All Might signs his notebook and he's like, he already signed it, and he's doing that really fast bow. Really
Yes.
fast bow.
Okay,
This will be
so
such an interval for years to come.
my number one probably has to be when Deku is fighting Todoroki, and he's just like, it's your quirk. You might have
Yeah.
gotten it from your dad, but
Yes.
he's not the one using it. It's your quirk. You have to use it.
Every time they replay that scene, it hits me right here.
Every time.
I love that scene because, as many people know, Todoroki is my favorite character, mainly because I like his background.
Yeah.
And I like the growth that he's had. Like, going from the time when he despised his fireside, refused to use it, like, didn't even, like, count it.
Mhm.
Like, he was ashamed of his father, didn't like him at all. To now, like, in this episode, he texted his dad.
Yeah.
And
When it was like a few episodes back, we see him ranting. We see Endeavor ranting to I don't know if they were pedestrians or other pros about how Shoto wasn't talking.
It was the other pros.
Mm-hmm.
That was like his
sidekicks.
sidekicks, yeah.
And they were like,
Also,
and
Todoroki,
they were like, isn't he in school right now?
socially, he used to
What's
be
that?
very closed off to people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before that fight with Deku, he was saying to
Oh my
Deku,
God.
like, you represent All Might, I represent Endeavor, you are my enemy. Like, that was just the extent of how he talked to him.
Yeah.
And now, you know, like, he's like talking to him about everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
they're friends. I mean,
I kind of feel.
oh, go ahead.
I kind of feel like it was more than that too, because growing up, Todoroki was Shoto, because they're all Todorokis, was isolated from his siblings, and he was like probably homeschooled so Endeavor could focus on the training for like him to be a hero. And we're slowly starting to see the extent of how bad those trainings actually were. So him going from like being isolated from everyone to, I mean, being isolated from everyone except his father, to being into a school of everyone that looks up to his father and like talks highly of him was probably like shell shock.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You don't know what Endeavor was like at home.
Yeah.
Two things that made me think of. One was at the lunch table when Midoriya is doing his internship and he can't talk about what's going on with Air and everything, but he's having a lot of trouble because he wanted to save her and he couldn't, and he knows now what's going on with Overhaul, and he feels really bad, and he's just super stressed out, and he's not doing well in class and stuff, and he's not eating his lunch, and Ida tells him, like, if you want to talk about something, you can, because we're friends, right? And it's exactly what Deku said to him before.
Yeah.
And Deku starts crying, as per usual, but he's like, you know, oh, I'm sorry, like, because he can't tell them what's going on. He goes there too. And Midoriya says, heroes aren't supposed to cry. And Shoto goes, I don't know, I think, you know, whenever they need to cry, they do. And then they offer him food. Like, oh my god, I love that part. It's so sweet. And like, Midoriya's like, or no, Shoto says, do you want some of my soba? And then, oh, do you want some of my beef stew? And then I don't even remember what the other things were.
It's awesome. It's so awesome.
Shoto keeps going. He's like, do you want some of this? Do you want some of this? And like Deku's like, okay. Like, it's so funny. And
my second one. It's not in the series, but it takes place within the series. It's in the movie. And I absolutely love the fight between Bakugo, Deku, and Nine.
If the movie stuff is on the table, the double one for all, holy fuck.
It takes the cake. That's my whole point. Yeah. Because John and Kayla were there when I was watching it, but from about like 30 minutes in to the end,
oh my!
I was sobbing my eyes out.
Yeah. I have a favorite Endeavor.
Did I cut out?
Yeah. It's about to happen again.
Yeah. It's weird.
Beth, Kayla, are you there? Are you alive? Did something happen?
We have been getting really strong winds, and they're working on our cable lines.
I can hear you. You're just not moving.
Can you see your peace signs?
No.
You're not moving, but we can hear you.
Oh, it's probably the power lines. They've been all wonky.
Okay.
So, I was going to say, I do have a favorite Endeavor line. My favorite thing that Endeavor ever said is when he's gonna fight the advanced Nomu, and he's like he goes outside of the window, and he's just like there, and Hawks is like, "Whoa, I didn't know you could fly," and Endeavor says, "I'm just not falling."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
Yeah.
That's flying. That's flying.
Yeah.
I'm just not falling. I'm just not.
I think I have one in my room.
Okay.
Or
Is that? I will be right back. I have to grab a charger.
yeah. Well, we're about to wrap it up anyway.
Careful.
Well, I just remembered the other thing I was going to say about Shoto.
Yeah.
When whenever Endeavor comes back and he wants to make amends, and his brother is not cool with it because he doesn't even know Shoto, and because he kept him from him.
Yeah.
And he goes out, and Shoto says, "I know that a small thing can change a person if they want to change."
Yeah.
And so he's like, "I'm
Yes.
willing to give you another chance if you prove it to me." And that was a really good part for Shoto that I liked. I have a few other mentions that I have.
And in that scene, I liked how Endeavor said, "I'm right here." I'm right here.
Yeah.
I like how when in that scene where Todoroki's eating noodles and has a mouthful of noodles and he's like,
It's a bad
nice
scar.
scar.
Looks painful.
And he's like, "Hey,
He's like, what's
that
up?
scar looks bad."
That sassy bitch. Sassy
Yes.
bitch.
It's like, two can play this game.
Tim's leaving. Tim's leaving.
One of my own favorite characters I realize is Amajiki. Love him.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, the episodes with his whole backstory are great when he's fighting those three guys, part of the nine, or whatever they call. I don't remember what they called them, but he was fighting those three guys off, and then they have his whole backstory about his friendship with Mirio and everything, and how like he has so many doubts, but he still fights and he still does like what he has to do. I love him. He's the best.
Yeah,
And
I like it when Fat Gum says, "If he believes in himself, I believe in him."
yes,
Yeah.
I love
Yes.
that too. Like Fat Gum.
I love
and
Fat Gum.
Amajiki together. Love that.
I love Facom.
Fat
I
Gum
really
is
like
such an
him as a
awesome
character.
pro. Like, I feel like he's a little bit underrated.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because, like, nobody ever really talks about him, but he's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
he's totally
Like, as a person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I love him.
I really like his relationship with Amajiki because, like, Amajiki as a character, I think it's really important to have something like that because he's
He's
Full of
got to be one of the most relatable characters.
Yeah.
yeah. And then you have like,
Something like
Fat
Fat
Gum.
Gum just terrorizes me all the time, but really he's like pushing him forward to like
Yeah.
realize his greatness. Yeah.
Mhm.
he's trying to get Amajiki to see the potential that he knows that he has.
Mhm.
I mean, and we all know someone like that
another-
for us.
Another super emotional moment is Night Eye's final speech to Mirio.
Yeah. That was my third thing I
Is that what
wanted
you were
to
going
say.
to say? All right. You go ahead.
Because just recently I was messaging you guys because I was watching those episodes over, and
Yeah.
I remember I said I always didn't like Night Eye. That's not true. I liked him, but I got annoyed with him. And then as I rewatched it, I started with just being annoyed from the get-go. I was like, this guy, why is he so like doubtful of everything that's going on, and he's such a jerk about everything. And then he's dying. And I remember the first time when I watched it, I was like, why can't Eri just save him? Why does he have to die? I don't want him to die. So when I was rewatching it this time, like they give the excuse that like she doesn't know how to use her power, so they don't want to make her do it. But like I feel
Well,
like
she's,
they,
passed out too.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. He wasn't awake. But I guess that like I don't know, because I feel like they could do the same thing where like Eraser stops her quirk just in time,
Yeah.
you know. But his speech was so good, like about how Deku changed everything. He changed the future because he had no doubt that he could do it. And
Yeah, and I loved how
that.
and I loved how they kept going back to Deku to Deku saying, "I'll smash that future."
Mhm.
I loved that line.
Yeah, exactly. And he believed he could do it, and that's
Yeah.
the difference. He made the difference. He could do it. He didn't have room for the doubt. You
He's
know?
being the change he wants to see in the world.
Yeah.
The last one I'm gonna mention, hands down, the concert.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually what I was about to mention. It's heartwarming and it made me cry
Where Aries
because
smiles.
you see Aries smiles,
Yeah.
and then I can't remember if it was later on in the episode or right after it. Mirio is holding her, and he goes, "You see, sir, we did it." She's smiling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, my heart.
And I kept thinking that he was calling Deku sir, but then I realized he
He's
was
talking
talking
to
about
Night
Night
Eye.
Eye. Yeah.
No,
Because he never called Night Eye. He just called him sir.
Yeah.
he did.
And I also like when class 1A and class 1B they go to the woods and with the Wild Ball Pussycats, and
Yeah.
then they have to fight to survive, and they end up working together as a team, and Deku saves Koda, and
I
that
love
changes
that, yeah.
Koda's point of
And-
view on everything.
When Koda has the Deku shoes.
Yes, oh, my heart. Deku is a dad. You can't tell me he's not.
And talking about the concert, I always love, and I always point it out to people, the imagery of using Dark Shadow to represent Overhaul. When Dark Shadow
Mhm.
is wrapped around Eri and breaks apart, and that's when she breaks out of the Dark Shadow image with the big smile and the hands up and everything.
It's so
Yeah.
boring.
Noticed that, honestly.
When that happens, they use Dark Shadow to represent the hold that Overhaul still had over her even then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do we know
I
where
think we watched the.
Deku's father is?
Say that again?
Do we know where Deku's father is?
He travels for business, I guess. He's not
No,
dead.
I don't know that he's ever really been mentioned.
I don't think you ever really see him, but I think in the future we might. But apparently he like travels a lot because
Okay.
like all like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically now, his mother said you have to help me raise him. Essentially,
All Might wants to be his dad. You heard what he said about his mom.
yeah. I've seen some fan art and I'm like, whoa.
Whoa.
Like it comes in on them. And it's like, oh,
If
sorry.
we're talking about heartwarming moments, one of my
Oh,
favorite
it's
ones
probably
is
my
in,
mom. Oh, it's
one of my favorite ones is in the movie when they're fighting Nine,
what an honor.
and the kids are just like, Deku, Mr. Bakugo,
Mr.
don't give up.
Bakugo.
We believe in you. And I'm like, oh.
when he shows up and they go, it's the mean one.
It's the mean one.
Yes, that's true.
That's the bad
I love
part
it.
of
And then
UA.
When the little boy is talking to Deku and Bakugo's just up on the balcony eating a popsicle and
drops
eavesdropping.
popsicle.
Like,
Yeah,
And
it drops
he
the
gets so
popsicle.
pissed.
he gets so upset. That's what you get for eavesdropping. No popsicle for you.
Oh, I also really like the
Don't
evolution
worry,
of the
Granny,
respect
I'm on my
that-
way.
that Bakugo has for like adults. Granted, it's still not the best, but like instead of just calling them every name under the sun, he's mainly narrowed it down to just one insult.
What's that?
Bastard. That's
Oh, yeah.
his
Well,
favorite
yeah.
word.
That's his
So
favorite
is everybody a bastard.
Mm.
Alright. So, that was great. I love
Pretty-
I love talking about our favorite parts, but I believe it's time to wrap this up.
Next
Are we
week
in agreement?
we will be back with the review of
Episode 101.
101. 101.
Go Beyond.
Well, what's the name of the episode?
We don't know. None of us.
Merry
know.
Christmas for us, or something like that.
It's the Christmas one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
want to say it's
Didn't they give
Merry
it a name?
Christmas.
No.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What was this
Okay.
one's name? We didn't
Merry
say
Christmas.
this one's
The name of this episode was The New Power and All for One.
Yeah.
name. Power and All for One. Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
It's Crispin.
Episode list.
Alright, so yeah, I mean that's gonna do it for us. I guess come celebrate Christmas with us next week, and we'll.
Have a Merry Christmas. That's what it's called.
What the
Have-
fuck?
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas. I knew it was something like that.
Have a Merry Christmas.
almost as creative as Match 3 Conclusion.
Almost.
Yeah,
Almost. I mean, they have to leave us guessing, guys.
Alright, well, as always, remember...
Go beyond. Plus Ultra.
Ultra.
Ultra.